America, the land of the free. At least, that's the promise. But right now, over 2 million people are locked inside American prisons. That's more than any other country on Earth. More than China, more than Russia. Here's the crazy part. The United States makes up just 4% of the world's population, but it holds 20% of the world's prisoners. 1 out of every 5 inmates on this planet sits in an American cell. And the cost? Tens of billions of dollars every single year. But here's the twist. This isn't just about safety or crime or justice. It's about business. Because behind these bars, freedom isn't just taken away, it's sold. So the real question is, who's making money off mass incarceration? In the early 1970s, America's prison population was a fraction of what it is today. Back then, the U.S. locked up around 200,000 people nationwide. But something was about to change. Politicians declared the war on drugs. Suddenly, possession of even small amounts of narcotics meant serious jail time. Police budgets exploded. Arrests skyrocketed, and prisons began to overflow. By the 1990s, the number of inmates had quadrupled. Entire facilities were jammed beyond capacity. What had once been correctional centers started to look like crowded warehouses for human beings. And here's where it gets interesting. The government wasn't just struggling to manage the overflow. Some people started seeing the crisis as an opportunity. Because when millions of lives are locked behind bars, someone, somewhere, is cashing in. By the mid-1990s, the prison crisis had exploded. The U.S. inmate population had jumped from about 200,000 in 1970 to over 1.5 million by 1995. The government was running out of space, fast. And that's when corporations stepped in. Companies like CoreCivic, founded in 1983 as the Corrections Corporation of America, and GEO Group saw a business opportunity. Their pitch was simple: let us run your prisons. They signed billion-dollar contracts with states and the federal government. The deal? Taxpayer money flows to private companies who get paid per inmate per night. And the results? By the early 2000s, private prisons were holding over 100,000 inmates nationwide. A business that barely existed in the 80s had become a Wall Street success story. Think of it like a hotel chain, except the guests can't check out. The fuller the prison, the bigger the profit. So ask yourself, if freedom hurts their bottom line, why would they ever want fewer prisoners? But here's where the story gets darker. Prison isn't just about keeping people locked up. It's about putting them to work. Across America, more than 800,000 incarcerated people have jobs while serving time. Some work inside the prison, cooking meals, cleaning facilities, or doing maintenance. Others are contracted out, manufacturing license plates, furniture, even military uniforms. And the pay? Shockingly low. The average wage for prison labor is between 13 and 52 cents an hour. In some states, like Texas, Georgia, and Arkansas, certain prison jobs pay nothing at all. Meanwhile, the products and services generated by prison labor are worth an estimated $11 billion every year. Private companies and even state governments benefit from a workforce that can't strike, can't quit, and can't bargain. Critics call it modern-day slavery, because when your labor is mandatory, your pay is pennies, and your freedom is gone. What else can you call it? But the economy of prison doesn't stop with forced labor. Inside these walls, almost everything has a price. Take food, for example. A pack of ramen noodles, worth less than $1 outside, can become prison currency, traded for favors or protection. Cigarettes, instant coffee, even stamps turn into money in a world without cash. And then there's the commissary system. Prisoners and their families spend over $1.6 billion every year on snacks, toiletries, and phone minutes sold at inflated prices. In some states, a single phone call can cost $5 to $15, money that comes directly from families already struggling. Private telecom companies dominate this market. One company, Securus Technologies, has made hundreds of millions by charging inmates' families sky-high rates just to stay connected. So while corporations profit on the outside, another hidden economy bleeds inmates and their loved ones dry. For families, the punishment isn't just a sentence, it's a bill. The prison boom wasn't just an accident, it was engineered through policy. In the 1980s and 1990s, politicians pushed a wave of tough-on-crime laws. The 1984 Sentencing Reform Act eliminated parole for federal prisoners. Then came the 1994 Crime Bill, signed by President Bill Clinton, which added $9 billion for new prisons and created harsher sentencing rules. But the real game changers were the three strikes laws and mandatory minimums. Three strikes, first passed in California in 1994, meant that even non-violent third offenses could lead to 25 years to life. Mandatory minimums locked judges into handing out long sentences, no matter the circumstances. The result? By 2000, the U.S. prison population passed 2 million people, compared to just 500,000 in 1980. And guess who was lobbying for these laws? Private prison companies and their allies, spending millions every year to keep sentences long and cells full. When justice becomes a business, punishment stops being about safety and starts being about profit. But let's step back and ask, who really pays the price? Not the corporations, not the politicians. It's ordinary people, and especially poor and minority communities. Consider this. Nearly 1 in 3 black men in America will face incarceration at some point in their lives. Latino men are imprisoned at 1.3 times the rate of white men. And poverty is the common thread. Because when you can't afford a good lawyer, the system swallows you whole. And the cycle doesn't end with release. According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, about 68% of people released from prison are rearrested within 3 years. Within 9 years, that number climbs to 83%. It's called recidivism, and it traps families in a revolving door. Prison, release, no jobs, no support, prison again. Entire neighborhoods are hollowed out. Children grow up without parents. Communities lose workers, voters, and hope. And all the while, the prison economy keeps spinning. If you think this is just theory, think again. The profit motive in prisons has already led to shocking scandals. Take Pennsylvania's infamous Kids for Cash case. In 2008, 2 judges, Mark Chivarella and Michael Conahan, were exposed for taking $2.6 million in kickbacks from private juvenile detention centers. In return, they sentenced thousands of children, some as young as 13, for minor offenses. Their freedom was literally sold for profit. And that wasn't the only scandal. In Mississippi, the former corrections commissioner was sentenced to 20 years in prison for accepting over $1.4 million in bribes from private prison contractors. Each case reveals the same ugly truth. When money drives incarceration, justice becomes a commodity. It's no longer about guilt or innocence. It's about who can generate revenue. So if judges and officials can be bought, what does that say about the system itself? So here we are, the richest country in the world, also runs the largest and most profitable prison system on Earth. What was once meant as punishment has transformed into an economy where cells are assets, where human beings are profit margins, where freedom itself is a product, sold to the highest bidder. And the cost isn't just measured in dollars, it's measured in broken families, wasted potential, and communities locked in cycles of poverty and despair. So here's the question we're left with. If justice is supposed to be blind, why does it keep seeing dollar signs? And if freedom has become a business, who really benefits when millions lose theirs? If this video opened your eyes to the hidden business behind bars, don't let the story stop here. Hit that like button so more people can see it, and subscribe to the channel, because every week we expose the hidden side of money, power, and the systems shaping your life. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next.